head is very wet, which makes me upset. I don't know.
It's Saturday, December 31st, and you're watching the 8 o'clock half-decade special. I'm Chloe.
And I'm Ryan. And today, we're recapping the major events of the last 5 years in our American history. Throughout the night, we'll be discussing the Y2K, media advancements, the elections,
the wars of Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as the devastating events of 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina.
Now, let's look back on the Y2K crisis.
With working computers today in 2005, it is obvious that this event was nonsense and that the public would and will never have to suffer.
It is estimated that this crisis cost $300 to $600 billion in total. Due to this event, money changed hands and as a result changed many lives. Those of us who watched and waited for January 1st, 2000 will never forget the suspense. In the elections of 2000, the Republican candidate George W. Bush ran against the Democratic opponent, Al Gore. Gore had been the previous vice president to Bill Clinton.
As you know, Bush won the elections, but on a technicality. This means that Bush didn't win the popular vote, but instead, he won an electoral vote, taking the title.
Even so, the electoral vote only differed by a small gap of 5 votes. Controversy arose in Florida because of a difference of 500 popular votes in favor of Bush.
The similarity of numbers in this voting called for a recount by Supreme Court. Yet in the end, the court ruled 5-4, establishing the presidency of Bush.
Because of this, Bush secured the votes for Florida, assuring his presidency over Gore. This has been one of the closest presidential elections in over 100 years.
Bush was recently re-elected for a second term over John Kerry in 2004. And although at some points in time, his decisions have seemed questionable to the public, we are sure that in the end he will do great things for our country.
Namaste. I am a social media guru, and I'm here to talk to you about the world we all know and love, the Internet. The Internet reached its prime in the early 2000s with many advances in its infrastructure. The very first social media site, MySpace, was released in 2003, linking millions of people together. Skype's release in 2003 was when many people were first exposed to the concept of video chat. Then, in a stroke of unadulterated genius, college student Mark Zuckerberg released Facebook in 2004, eventually becoming the most used social media site in the world, at 900 million users. Finally, YouTube was released in 2005, providing the first opportunity for internet goers to watch cat videos. Now, please enjoy as I demonstrate my yoga routine, which I will call planking.
As you can clearly see, I'm currently standing in Hurricane Katrina. Winds right now are roughly around 140 miles an hour. It's just blowing crazy. The rain is pouring down right now. Objects are flying at me. Hurricane is currently now at Category 5, which is the highest and most dangerous. It has currently been reached at the top 5 most dangerous hurricanes ever in U.S. history.
And what does that overall property damage look like out there, Nick?
Yes, and in terms of property damage, there's been estimated around $108 billion has been affected so far in this hurricane. Oh, I just dodged that. Not that one. In terms of people affected, there's been about 1,800 casualties so far, and roughly over 25 million people have been affected. That, folks, was just a tennis ball that hit me almost in the nuts. Here it's pouring so strong. The massive rain drops are just bouncing right off me. It is intense down here.
Could you remind us where you are, Nick?
Yes. And speaking of intense, New Orleans, definitely by far the worst case scenario for them. The Mississippi River has overflown, broken the levees, and the water just flooded in. It is just so bad there. The city is completely destroyed with all the surrounding areas. Yes. In terms of when it will stop, I don't know. But we can only hope that it will soon. Thanks. And that's all we got for you. Back to you, Dylan.
Hi guys, Dylan here with the weather. It's a sunny day over in New York today on September 11th, 2001. Highs are expected to be at 75 degrees, while lows are expected to be at 68 degrees. Look, there aren't any clouds over the Twin Towers today. I feel like it's going to be a good day. Wait, I just got word that there's a fire down at 3rd and 4th Street. Let's send it down to our correspondent with the fire department. We don't have any information as of now, but we will notify you guys if we hear anything. Oh! As our viewers have just seen, a second plane has just crashed into the South Tower.
At this point, the Associated Press with a story that says there is no report of any casualties without jumping to too many conclusions, looking at the extent of this damage and knowing how well populated that building is. At that, there's.
I'm now getting word that a third plane has crashed into the Pentagon.
The chiefs didn't want anyone going through the lobby doors. First, it was because debris was falling outside. Then, it was people falling.
You don't see it, but you know where it is. And you know that every time you hear that crashing sound, it's a life which is extinguished. It's not something you could get used to. And the sound was so loud.
I just remember looking up, thinking, how bad is it up there that the better option is to jump?
And then we saw the people jumping. We saw what we thought was debris, and we realized it was people jumping.
How can I tell you that I love you? I love you, but I can't think of right words to say. I long to tell you that I'm always thinking of you. I'm always thinking of you.
Hi, I'm Perry.
Hi, I'm Nate.
Welcome to Channel 7 Key News. It is currently 3:15 on September 5th, 2005.
Today's special feature will be on the ongoing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The war in Afghanistan began in 2001, following the terrorist attacks of 9/11. It has been a combination of the efforts of the countries of NATO to intervene in the civil war and dismantle al-Qaeda by eliminating the Taliban. Back when 9/11 had just happened, President Bush ordered the Taliban to hand over Osama bin Laden, but they refused to do so since the United States refused to provide evidence that bin Laden was involved in the terrorist attack.
On October 7th, 2001, the United States launched Operation Enduring Freedom with the help of the United Kingdom. The United States was later joined by other forces and successfully drove the Taliban from power, forcing them to flee to Pakistan and mountainous regions, while establishing an American military presence throughout Afghanistan.
However, the remaining fighters are still resisting heavily against NATO forces, using improvised explosive devices and guerrilla tactics. Allied forces in the region failed to capture Osama bin Laden, whose location is currently unknown.
Now, on to the Iraq War. The war began in 2003 and consisted of two phases. The first was the invasion of Iraq, led by the United States. The second, longer phase, was focused on defeating the insurgency that emerged, opposing United States occupation of Iraq and the newly formed government in Iraq.
Before the war, the United Kingdom and the United States claimed that Iraq was in possession of weapons of mass destruction. which posed a threat to their security and regional allies.
This led to the passing of Resolution 1441 by the United Nations Security Council, which wanted Iraq to cooperate with weapon inspectors to make sure they were not in possession of weapons of mass destruction and cruise missiles. Although no weapons of mass destruction were found, the United States launched a surprise invasion in 2003. According to General Tommy Franks, the goals were to, first, end the regime of Saddam Hussein, second, to identify, isolate, and eliminate Iraq's weapons of mass destruction, third, to search for, to capture, and to drive out terrorists from that country, fourth, to collect such intelligence as we can related to terrorist networks, fifth, to collect such intelligence as we can related to the global network of illicit weapons of mass destruction.
Sixth, to end sanctions and to immediately deliver humanitarian support to the displaced and to many needy Iraqi citizens. Seventh, to secure Iraq's oil fields and resources, which belong to the Iraqi people. And last, to help the Iraqi people create conditions for a transition to a representative self-government.
This concludes tonight's special feature. Hope we'll see you next time. Bye.
After this reflective look into the recent past, we can see that we have endured much as a country, but as a result, America has become stronger.
Our nation has united for the first seconds of the decade to the disasters both humane and natural.
We hope you enjoyed this special by Channel 7 Key News.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Chloe. Have a happy new year. Stay classy, Northwoodians.